Big Drive Energy Monday edition. Rory McIlroy back in the winner's circle. Big Mitch going to have to eat his words. He's just going to have to talk about Rory and taste the dub. We're also going to talk about the value of some courses. The top 10 public courses came out, talk about the value of those. And of course, it's Monday. So we've got Mulligan Monday for you. And I've got a slew of them to pick from this weekend. All right, let's tee it up. Big Drive Energy Monday edition. We're going to be talking about Pebble Beach. We're going to be talking about value of golf courses. We'll probably talk about pace of play, maybe Jason Day's insane grout fit. But first, how was your weekend?
My weekend was good, brother. I did the typical, we stayed in Friday night, watched a movie. My girlfriend is an accountant, so this is her busy time of year. I don't know if I already mentioned that on the show or not, but she's very busy, so she's just working like a dog. Respect to her. So Friday night we were going to go out, and she's like, I kind of just want to watch a movie. So we watched the new movie with Jamie Foxx and I want to say Carmen Electra, but it's not Carmen Electra. If it was Carmen Electra, I would have remembered. Cameron Diaz. New movie. It's on Netflix. Pretty decent flick. Kind of an action, typical action movie, but not too bad. Because and it was funny because we started at I was like, we do movie night at 5 p.m. because the Nuggets played at 7 and the Avs played at 9, and so we got the movie out of the way before 7 p.m. Then we dialed it in on the hockey and the basketball.
Baller move there, dude. Get that shit out the way.
Yeah, I was like, let's get this movie started early. But I've been working out. I've been doing my speed training. I got my super speed sticks. I think they're called super speed. I got those things back from Colorado. They've been sitting in your garage. I really haven't done any sort of speed work in years, and God knows I can use it for my golf swing. So I've been staying consistent with that these last few weeks, doing it 3 times a week. Been hitting the gym, getting some light cardio, some good walking on the treadmill, good elliptical, some core work. For those of you who don't know, I am turning 30 in about a month, basically a month. And it's one of those, what'd you say?
Old balls.
Yeah, I am very old balls at this point. So I decided that I want to feel like I'm in good shape going into my 30s. Good is a little bit of a stretch, but better shape. You got to fucking start somewhere, right? So honestly, February is kind of like my dry January. I'm definitely drinking, but just a little bit less and more, I guess not even my dry January, just more of my focus month, because us going to that bachelor party in the middle of January really threw a monkey wrench into any sort of diet you were trying to go on, any sort of non-drinking thing. You're not going to be that guy eating a fucking salad, drinking a water at a bachelor party. At least I'm not. That's just not how I roll. I honestly would respect it if somebody did that. I just don't have that kind of willpower. But staying dedicated to the workouts. That fucking pack of hot dogs. I just ate hot dogs for lunch again. So, but I'm not eating them with buns. I'm eating them with a carb-free or the low-carb tortilla. So that helps. I make little pigs in a blanket. So that's I was going to eat turkey and cheese, and then buying lunch meat for me is so tough because I buy one pack, I go through it in 2 or 3 days, and then I buy the big 3-pack at Costco, and inevitably 1 pack goes bad. The second, how you just go in waves of eating shit and not eating shit. So I literally was staring nothing but hot dogs in the face when I opened the fridge. That and just a bunch of fucking condiments.
Have you ever heard of a freezer? There's this crazy thing that you can put your meat in. and it keeps it
Oh,
good for a minute.
there's plenty of meat in the freezer. It's pork chops, it's steak. When you put like lunch meat in the freezer, it gets a little weird because then you thaw it out and it like gets all watery. And then you got to almost like squeeze the water out of it. I don't know. It's odd.
And
But anywho, how was your weekend? And then I want to talk a little bit about the Luca trade because that's obviously hot in the streets.
yeah, it was good. And this is a hot take. I'm gonna come out with it. Abraham Lincoln meme coming from Abraham Lincoln himself. Fuck you, Joe Daniels. Um, I really enjoyed having a Sunday without NFL football.
Wow.
And I I don't know if I can explain it because maybe it's the fact that it was really nice here in Colorado. Like it's close to 70 today. I'm gonna sneak out and hit some range balls after my meeting. Get away from work a little early, get to the range.
Love to see
But
that.
it's I feel trapped by NFL football every Sunday and from August to December and then January. And it sounds lame because you're not really trapped. You can do other things, but I just feel like a loser if I'm not watching every NFL game, red zone, got 2 TVs going. And so yesterday it was nice. It was really nice out. I took my son on a bike ride. He's really loving his little carry behind now. Like he used to hate it. He used to like sit all cockeyed and just be out of breath and hate it. Now it was like he was just babbling on back there, just yelling. And I took him through a few puddles and his face was all muddy, not intentionally, but like there was just puddles on the trail we went on.
Getting
So
sprayed.
we couldn't avoid them. And I tried to slow down through them. But dude, I'll tell you what, Cherry Creek Trail is awesome. It's a great trail, goes all the way from my house, even out to who knows, like Kennedy Golf Course, I think. Not Kennedy.
Bro, it goes down to through Franktown. It goes all the way down to Castlewood Canyon, I think.
Yeah, it goes forever. But I don't usually go south on it. I go north and goes all the way to Ball Arena if you want it to. You can go to straight downtown Denver. But it is so fucking busy, dude. And there's bikers that are going way faster than me. Of course, I'm cruising along nice even speed with my kid in the back, both helmets on. And then I got people on my left coming down, and then there's people walking on the trail that are walking on the right side and the left side. So I'm trying to cut in between them or slow down. It's just a lot of activity. And normally I like a lot of activity around me. I'm one of those weird people where I like to be by myself, but activity around me. Like I don't like creepy silence or empty places. I like a busy place, but me by myself, not having to entertain a group or entertain people, talk to them. Not really my thing. But the trail, man, is not a place that I like a lot of activity. I do not mind if it's just calm and there's no one there and there's no one that I can possibly run into or run into me. I don't know how many crashes there are on the trail, but there's got to be quite a few because it's so busy and there's people weaving in and out, and there's people that decide they need to walk on the wrong side, which that pisses me off. I wish I had a fucking bell on my bike. Like
You should get a bell to put on your bike, honestly, because you just need to learn how to be like on the left, and fucking hit
yeah,
that ringer, get people moving, dude. Because
I need
some people are just in their own world.
I need to be more aggressive on the bike paths. I'm
It's
very
unlike you.
passive. And just even like I actually honked at someone in my truck the other day. It felt really good. And then I felt bad. But it's something I'm learning and I'm gonna get better at, and I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna be more aggressive on the bike trails. But we went into the store and then I locked my bike up, got back out. Nothing was broken into or anything like that. So that was a win as well for me, even though it's a nicer King Supers where I went. But yeah, it was just great having a free Sunday. It helped that the Avs were on at 1, perfect afternoon matinee game, or 1:00 my time. Kind of split up the day. Although there's been a lot of matinee games lately for our teams on the weekends, and I'm not sure I really love it. I like to settle in at night when it's like the end of the night and watch the game and go to bed. But the loss and the losing streaks that both of our teams were on, I was going to bed so pissed off I couldn't focus. So now it's kind of nice to get that over with in the middle of the day. I'm either happy the rest of the day or I have some time to blow off some steam and then go to bed later on. But weekend overall was fantastic.
Good, man. Yeah, glad to hear that. I mean, there's definitely a few Sundays where you're like, holy shit, not having anything on Sundays is nice. And then you get to May and June and you're like, fuck, I would give my right arm to have a football game on right now. Even more July, I would say, when the NBA's done, the NHL's done, because at least we have playoff football or playoff base. Jesus Christ, playoff
Playoff
hockey,
baseball
playoff
coming up.
basketball. No, fuck playoff baseball. That baseball can suck a fat one right now for me currently. But yeah, there's definitely a few days where you appreciate not having football because you don't feel like you're tethered to your television. But then on the other side of that, like football, relatively speaking, is free. I mean, you buy Sunday ticket or whatever, but you get 8 hours of free entertainment every NFL Sunday, and then you have to figure out other ways to entertain yourself on a Sunday, and you're kind of spending money, you're going out, you're doing this. It is nice to have that routine, but towards the end of football season, you're like, I could use a non-football Sunday. Funny enough, so Saturday night we were who were the Nuggets playing? Friday night was the Sixers. And Missy and I were watching that, and I was telling her that like this game doesn't matter because the Nuggets weren't playing that well. I'm like, in the grand scheme of things, it's a January middle of the season game. Like it doesn't mean that much, but we do have a pretty good sized future on the Nuggets over 51.5 wins. So that definitely plays into it. But I was like, it doesn't really mean anything. I'm not going to stress out. And then 2 minutes later, she's like, why are you screaming? You just told me this game doesn't matter. And I'm like, but it fucking there's just certain things that send me over the edge. And I think I said it last week. The Nuggets just get my blood boiling on some sort of different level. Maybe because I know what they're capable of. And when they play so below that, it just infuriates me. But I did lose my cool a few points. We almost lost to the Charlotte Hornets and then the 76ers. 76ers is a little bit more fair. They've got a few good players. The Hornets would have been like the second worst loss of the season behind the Wizards. I still can't believe we lost to the Wizards. But tell me, where were you for the Luka trade? Everybody's going to remember. Where were you when you heard about the trade?
I was in dreamland, homie. I was fucking asleep. I go
Dude,
to
it was
bed
only like, wasn't it only like 10 o'clock or 9:30? Fucking
out. Dude, I'm telling you, the
on a
only reason
Friday night.
I stay up past 8:30 p.m., 9 p.m. is sports. That's a flat out fact. By the time the night's over and I'm exhausted from my kid just fucking tornadoing my entire house, and I've picked up his toys 74 times on the day. I sit on the couch and I can't watch. We've talked about this, but I can't watch mindless TV. It just doesn't do anything for me. I mean, I can sit and scroll on my phone, but I'm not like
It's other mindless shit.
yeah. And we did watch a show last night. I don't know exactly what it's called, but it was on Netflix. Netflix originals and Netflix documentaries are so good. It was a show about this Ivy Ridge school where it was a boarding school that people sent their kids to for being bad. And then there was like a shitload of abuse and it was like fucking terrible. It's basically like jail, only worse.
Sounds like some light TV you watched.
Like if I'm going to watch something on TV and I'm going to put something on, I want to be interested in it. I don't want to be sitting on my phone, not interested in it. So found something to watch, but long story short, yeah, I was dead asleep for the Luka trade. I woke up, it's funny because we're in about 10 different group chats where it's me and you and one other person, just the three of us. And I feel like I had a ton of group chats lighting it up. And I was like trying to wake myself up and figure out what was going on. I thought I read the trade incorrectly because of what they got back. Just overall insane weekend in the NBA. And then, when you see a De'Aaron Fox, Zach LaVine trade and it means nothing and people don't even really talk about it because they just gloss over it because of the Luka trade and how big it was. I mean, I was trying to think of a fun segment to do today where we could connect like what it would be like in golf, the Luka trade, like talk to me in golf terms. And I don't first of all, trading players, I mean, if they're going from Legion 13 to the Cliques, maybe that gets us going a little bit. But
no, dude, that's like trading Rory away from Boston Common for like Kevin Kisner.
Yeah, Kevin Kisner and some cash considerations.
A pick swap later to be named.
2031 pick swap.
Yeah. Oh, dude. I mean, so I got to tell you this, which is pretty funny because our good buddy Eric Tuttle, shout out Eric, we're in a pretty active just sports group chat. We just talk about the Nuggets, the Avs, pretty much everything. And he likes to have a few pops and then FaceTime us late night randomly. So I was actually dead asleep, but it made more sense. It was 11:30 out here. And that was the night we stayed in. So after the game was over, I got some shut eye, and then my phone is just vibrating, and I had my little like headband on that plays my podcast, and it read like the number to me. It was like FaceTime from so and so. It didn't say his name, it just said the number, and I was like so confused. I was half awake, and I felt my phone vibrating. So then I woke up and looked at my phone, and I saw the Luka trade, and I knew that Missy wasn't asleep yet because I can tell when she's asleep. And I'm like, babe, Luka just got traded to the Lakers. And she's like, go to fucking bed. Like she was just
didn't give a fuck.
But then the next day she's like, so Luka got traded to the Lakers. She did care. And then funny enough, yesterday she goes, do you remember the other time you woke me up to tell me something sports related? And I was like, no, I don't. She's like, you woke me up at 7 a.m. that one morning and tell me Scotty Scheffler got arrested. Like you were.
Oh, yeah. I remember you telling that on the pod.
Yeah. She's like, that's the only other time you've woken me up to tell me something sports. And I'm like, well, I mean, Scotty Scheffler getting arrested and Luka Doncic getting traded are pretty much one and the same in terms of importance in the sports world. So, yeah, I thought that was funny. She's like, you've only woken me up twice. One was for Luka. The other one was for Scotty Scheffler getting arrested.
I think I actually woke my wife up as well to tell her Scotty Scheffler got arrested, and she looked at me with the most disgust on her face because it was like 6:37 in the morning. It's a major weekend. It's, we're dialed in, and that happens, and I was like, I gotta tell someone.
I know, dude. Yeah, it's so hard.
It's like a secret. You can't keep it in.
100%. I'm like, somebody needs to know this that wouldn't know it otherwise. And it is kind of fun having your significant other that doesn't pay near as much attention to sports because you can tell them something and that's for sure the first time they've heard it. Like if you go talk to one of your buddies or whatever, even if it was 20 minutes ago, they'd be like, oh yeah, dude, everybody's seen that now. But to have somebody that's not tapped into sports at all, you feel like you get to break some news to them. And it's kind of you feel like you're fucking Adrian Wojnarowski or Shams or someone. You're like, this just in, fucking Luka to the Lakers for a 33-year-old chronically injured fucking bum Anthony Davis. But yeah, there's really nothing to compare that trade. It's honestly just malpractice from the Mavericks. I cannot believe what they've done. And I told you this will be a good clip down the road if this happens, which good chance it doesn't, but and it could be years from now. I honestly think that if shit goes south with the Lakers, I feel like Luka could want out of there. And I think there's a good chance he's a Denver Nugget at that point. Like I just feel like the Nuggets are going to have Luka at some point down the line. If it's 5 years, maybe it's the end of Jokic's career. He wants to play with a buddy. And Jokic is not leaving Denver. Denver is not that stupid to trade away a fucking – and, I mean, Luka's not quite Jokic's level, but Denver will never trade away Jokic unless they are just floundering and feel like he needs a chance somewhere else, which I don't think will happen. I could be wrong. But I could see the Nuggets like bringing him in 5 years down the line when they're both – Luka will be 30. Also, on that subject, do you believe Luka's 25?
I think I have to.
Dude,
are you a conspiracy theorist? Or are you?
I'm not a conspiracy. I don't want to sound bad, but over in Eastern Europe, like is anybody paying that close of attention to the dude's birthday? Or is anybody like looked at the validation on his fucking birth certificate? This
isn't the 1800s, bro. I'm pretty sure they're just about as dialed, even though it's Yugoslavia or wherever he's from.
He's from Slovenia.
Slovenia. There we go.
But you've seen guys in the Little League World Series, like he feels like the Little League World Series I am 12 guy. Like he's not 25. There's no way he could be 25. Maybe it's because he's been playing professional basketball since he was 14. So he feels like a seasoned veteran. But he's got like such a 29, 30-year-old vibe to me. Like him and Jokic are the same fucking age, and Jokic is my age. So I could see Luka being in his late 20s. Because, dude, think of how much more money that makes him over an NBA career if he comes into the NBA at 19. What if he's actually 23? That gives him and he's already out of shape. So everybody can just be like, he's out of shape. What if he's actually fucking 35 and he's in great shape for 35, but he's in horrible shape for 25 like that? I'm not saying it's true, but I'm just saying it's something we should look into.
I got to say, questioning the age of Luka Doncic was not on my bingo card for this podcast. That's for sure. The fact that he's 20,
something stinks to me.
Something is up. Yeah, it's just an unbelievable. I mean, we kind of gave our take on the trade, but the thing that annoys me the most is we're definitely Laker haters. Never been a fan of the Lakers, and sorry if you're listening to this and you are. Also, if you're listening to this, give us a thumbs up on the YouTube. It helps us a ton. Follow us on all the socials at Big Drive Energy Pod and Big Drive Energy Golf Instagram, Big Drive Energy on the TikTok. We appreciate that. TikTok is still there. Don't delete the app though. Mitchell deleted the app and now he can't get in.
I didn't delete it on purpose. I got
you got a new phone. Yeah, whatever. You finally got upgraded from the iPhone 7, which is good for you. But everyone's giving their take on the Luka trade, and then for me personally, he's fucking my fantasy team. Let's be real here on that. I have some hate against him because my fantasy team came out of the gates hot. And I'm not a big fantasy basketball guy, but I've been in this league 3 or 4 years now. I got second place last year. Felt pretty good. I drafted Luka 3rd overall, triple-double, scoring machine, whatever. And he's been in my injured reserve for the entire year. And I don't even know when he's coming back. Like, I'm holding on to a playoff spot by the skin of my fucking teeth. So we'll see if he gets back and even helps me when that comes around. But so that's pissed me off. And number 2 is the Lakers were just about to end this reign of, everybody's going to talk about the Lakers. I mean, fuck. In 2 years, Dalton Connect, everybody could just be talking about how good he is, even though he's averaging 17 points a game or whatever. And now they have a reason to talk about them for the next decade plus. And honestly, did you see some of the Mavericks fans' reactions? Like most of them, just in general, the guys that brought a casket and playing the fucking Sarah McLachlan song and shit. Like,
I will remember you.
I legit think I would be that way if the Nuggets traded Jokic, which seems so out of left field and like it wouldn't happen. But that's what this felt like. Like, you never felt like the Dallas Mavericks are going to trade Luka Doncic, who's 25, and
29,
and a cornerstone of the franchise a year after they made the finals, made a Western Conference Finals. It's just mind-blowing to me that happens in sports, and now you got to hear about Luka on the Lakers.
He could be smoking cigarettes coming down the court.
All-time fucking quote from Russillo. Russillo is great. I definitely put on, I'm not a big Bill Simmons. I'm not a big podcast guy in general, but I did put on the Bill Simmons pod to react to this. And I'm pretty sure every single NBA basketball podcast, and including this golf podcast, which we'll get to golf at some point, like we always do. We never let you down. Talked about this trade. And this is like the trade of not only just the NBA of the weekend. This is like the trade of maybe the century, I want to say.
The decade.
The implications of this.
I would say the decade.
Yeah, the century goes back to what, 2000? Who knows what's bigger than that? But I don't think teams trade a 25-year-old that's the future of their franchise. There's like a Mavs fan on Twitter, like a super fan, and he had 9 different Luka jerseys, and he just said, "Well," took a picture like all of them on his bed. What do you do, man? I mean, that's fucking, this makes the Miko trade look like a couple of AA swaps and cash considerations.
Yeah, it makes it look peanuts. Like, realistically speaking, and we talked about the Miko trade, but hockey fans are just so fucking soft. Like, for how tough hockey players are, hockey fans are just, they love to sniffle about the smallest shit. They get so attached to dudes, and it's like, it's just a fucking business. But Miko is the third best player on our team. Like, we trade Nathan McKinnon or Cale Makar, then I would be pretty fucked up. Like, but Miko is just a great third piece to that puzzle. That'd be like us trading Michael Porter Jr. And that's even a little bit of a different situation because Jamal doesn't quite hold like that Cale Makar. Like, I would say I like Cale more than I like Jamal, but I also probably like Jokic a little bit more than I like Nathan McKinnon. So it's not exactly across the board there, but yeah, the Miko trade in the grand scheme of things, he's kind of a replaceable piece. A guy like Luka, irreplaceable. Like, there is 3 guys in the NBA, and I wouldn't even say, in my expert NBA opinion, me, NBA insider, I don't think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is that good. I mean, he's very, very good, but I would say Luka and Jokic are the 2 best players in the NBA. Like, I think they're on a level, and then after that, you've got Jason Tatum, you've got Shai Gilgeous, you got a couple other guys on that second level, but who just trade, and they got literally fucking basically nothing for the guy. Like, that just makes me sick to my stomach because it's just malpractice. It's just, how does that GM have a job?
They got a Hall of Famer, for the record, and
That's 31.
They think they can win now, and I'm not arguing that they can, but they think that it makes them a better team now, which trading away Luka definitely doesn't. But when you have Kyrie and Anthony Davis and Klay Thompson, granted, that's probably a great team in like late 2019, 2018 maybe. But there's like a sliver of hope that they play well this year and going into the playoffs, and AD's even like healthy, and that then their GM can, basically sit there and say, hey, like, I didn't make the worst decision of all time, but right now it looks like one of the worst decisions of all time. And not only from I think the biggest reaction to this is not even an on the court reaction. Like, put Anthony Davis in there at the 4. He's going to be happy playing the 4, not the center. They still have Kyrie. I'm not trying to glaze the Mavs here, but overall decent team. They made the finals last year. They were the best team in the West, but it's the off the court love for Luka Doncic that spans not only to Dallas and then Mavericks fans, but you've seen with these players, like how many Serbian people are Nuggets fans just because of Nikola Jokic. It's the Jokic effect, the Dion, Coach Prime Sanders effect. Like, there's so many people that love Colorado football now because he's the coach that couldn't even find Boulder on a map before he came here. That the effect from the fan base and the just pure disdain from them, and the caskets and the graffiti and everything outside of American Airlines Arena. Like, we have a Dallas Mavericks event Thursday night, first event in Dallas. And I was going to send like an email out today and like push that we have a few tickets left. It's at Cosm, Cosm, those like sick immersive, the ones you see on the videos all the time on Twitter where like you're watching the game and it's like in your face.
Oh,
like you're yeah. So we have a Dallas Mavericks event there on Thursday, and I'm not even sending that email anymore. I'm like, hey, the rest of those tickets, we'll just give them to staff or figure out. Like, we're not selling those because I'm surprised people haven't asked for refunds, to be honest.
Go see Anthony Davis. Go, if he's healthy, if he's playing right now.
That's the thing. I don't even know if he is. I don't know if Luka's definitely not, because my fantasy team's in the shitter. And I don't know if AD is either.
Fantasy basketball is wild work. Anything but fantasy football to me is just way too much. Don't explain how you only set a lineup once a week. I've had so many people try to con me into a fantasy baseball league. I would rather go sleep under a fucking overpass than play fantasy baseball. Like, that sounds like the least fun thing I could possibly do. So, yeah, don't let yourself get talked into that shit. Just there's commitments that you make that seem fine at the time, and then like 3 months later, you're like, why am I doing this? What the fuck are we doing here?
That's me every season on fantasy baseball. But I'll probably get conned into playing again. No, I'm going to turn it down. Not doing it again. Fantasy basketball is pretty fun though. Especially when you get a taste of winning early on. All right, let's move this conversation to the golf and Rory McIlroy winning at Pebble Beach. First of all, great event. And going back to my original take about football not being on Sunday actually made me feel good and I was excited about it. Being a golf fan helps that a ton because especially having an event like Pebble Beach, signature event, you got Rory up there, you got Justin Rose, you got Shane Lowry, you've got Sepp Straka, who all of a sudden seems like he's turned into Scotty Scheffler. You got Scotty Scheffler back. Great event, great field, outstanding golf course. Overall, great weekend for the game of golf. And I think, we talked about it last week. I really think this was their chance to kind of gain some fans. And I don't know, if you can look up real quick if we have the ratings out for the final round or if people are watching it, but
I'll try to look it up real quick.
I was tied to my TV and we've got a little comment here. Rory is like an ice cream in the desert, total melter. Well, you're not wrong, Joel, but you're also not exactly coming correct right now. This moment's not like that comment last Wednesday would have been fine. But as of this moment, he became the third player in PGA Tour history to win 27 times in 4 majors. And it was, or at this age, I should say, and it was Phil Mickelson and Tiger Woods, and that's it. So his greatness is truly stretched over a long period of time. But I think that's what makes it hard in golf is you don't see a guy in a different sport tear the world up at 23, go dormant until he's 30, and then all of a sudden start winning again. And that's the beauty of the PGA Tour is how many guys over the last couple of years have won. And it's like, perfect example was Harris English last week. He won a couple times in like 2013, won a couple times in 2021. Now is winning again in 2025. It's just, there's no linear, it's like my kid. There's no linear growth here. You see players rise and then the Spieths and then they fall, the Justin Thomases, and they could rise again. But that's what's the beauty of golf is like, until they're 40, 45, you can never count a guy out that's seen the level that those guys have seen.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, I think that Rory, and don't tell me that I'm putting I did a heel turn on Rory. I did a 180. And I openly said on this podcast, I think he's going to win a major after the swing changes. I want to say it was after the match against, what was it, Bryson and Brooks, where he just came out, looked like he had his swagger back. Obviously making putts helps. He putted pretty damn well. But just having the proximity with the wedges, he's always been a great driver of the golf ball. We saw multiple drives he hit this weekend were just fucking absurd. The drive he hit on 14 yesterday was, so he's playing with Shane Lowry and Sepp Straka, I wouldn't call Shane Lowry a long hitter. I would call Sepp Straka a relatively long hitter. These dudes had, they probably hit 295, 300-yard drives on like an uphill dogleg right. Rory, you could build a fucking Costco between Rory's drive and Sepp and Shane's drives back there. I saw the distance from the blimp cam or whatever. It was fucking absurd, dude. Like the tee shots he hits, and then if he can capitalize and he hits this towering 7-iron from 220 yards to like 15 feet, 20 feet, and then makes it like that is just a microcosm of what Rory needs to do in order to win events. And I know it sounds fucking obvious, but it feels like the last decade he's done 2 of those 3 things, and then one thing has faltered. And now if he can get the putter going, I still don't love, like, if they zoom in on his putter and you watch him putt, he still is hitting like the top half of the ball. Like he's swinging, it feels like almost too far up on the putter. But he was making putts. He made a few really clutch 8-9 footers when Shane Lowry was trying to put pressure on him on the par 3. Shane Lowry hits it to like 6 feet. Rory hits it to like 7 or 8 feet after Shane, and then they both make birdie. But that could have been a point where Shane could have gotten to within 2, I think, and Rory kept him at 3 and then eventually got it to 4 shots. So there was just multiple things that Rory did very well. But I did want to I wanted some like stats to back up what I was thinking. Because remember how I said his wedges were his biggest problem when it came to like the 100 to 50 yard distance. That was his biggest issue because he drives it so close to so many greens, yet his proximity with the wedges is just not good enough to win majors. Like you have to capitalize inside of 100 yards. So his approach from inside 100 yards in last season, so 2024 season, I guess it's a full year now. 2024 season was or no, it's not a full year. So 23-24, I'm sorry. It's basically 24 for him because he doesn't play in any fall series shit. But his proximity last season from inside 100 yards in general, not from like 50 to 75, whatever, just inside 100 yards overall was 17 feet, and that ranked 91st on tour. So really not very good for a dude who has a million fucking shots inside of 100 yards. And then, so this year, looking at his proximity from inside 100 yards, it is now 15 feet 8 inches, which is 38th on tour so far this year. Obviously a smaller sample size, but he's on average hitting it like 3.5 feet closer inside of 100 yards. And over a span of a year on the PGA Tour, that's going to equate to a shitload more birdies for Rory. So that was kind of the results I was looking for. I found what I was looking for, but his strokes gained this year, just in like every single area. His scrambling still isn't great, but you can get away with that when you just hit the ball so fucking good that you're scrambling 3 times around, 4 times around, maybe. But he just put it all together. And that is the most frustrating thing about being a Rory fan is you watch what he did this weekend. And I tweeted from our Big Drive Energy account, I was like, it makes you wonder why he hasn't done this more often. Whenever he wins, you think to yourself, like, what the fuck happens every other week? Like, what goes wrong for him? So amazing win for him. I do think he's going to win a major this year. I will double down on that. And it really has to do with being able to hit those short wedges closer. That proximity to the hole from inside 100 is going to make a huge difference coming down the stretch at majors, especially with how well he drives it. So as long as he's making putts, I think he definitely wins a major. I'm sure the odds on all the sports books have skyrocketed in the wrong direction for bettors, because I think he was plus 1,000 or more before this week. And I'm sure he's under 1,000 in a few tournaments now. I think the PGA Championship was a big one for him. Is the PGA at Quail Hollow this year? Isn't that where it is?
I don't know. I'll have to look that up. I will say I'm assuming that watching I would love to see the amount of bets that were placed on Rory to win the Masters during this weekend. I bet it was an all-time high for the year, just watching how good he was hitting everything. And our betting card struck out 0 for 5, not a big deal. Just a rough night, golden sombrero on our part. We'll be back for waste management. We've always had it. But I put money on Shane Lowry mid Saturday because I didn't trust Rory to win one. And Sepp Straka, as great as he's playing right now, like I have to say that stat that I sent you, he at one point during the Pebble Beach tournament this weekend, he had birdied 40 of his last 100 holes. I don't know how many rounds I would have to go back, and I'm a decent player. I don't know how many rounds I'd have to go back and count before I got to 40 birdies. It would probably be close to 40 rounds, I would guess. A birdie around, maybe.
You average more than a birdie around.
I would be.
I would say about probably 25 rounds.
No, that's. I love that you're trying to glaze right now, but
that is not glazing.
Dude, I don't remember the last time I made 2 legitimate birdies in a round.
I'm talking about real life, not the sim.
Yeah, the sim, I'm a birdie machine. I just fucking hit it inside 8 feet and fucking gimme. Pick it up, move on.
No.
I actually, in my
mean,
sim league last week, I went birdie, triple, birdie, quad. So that was sick. But I would imagine a guy like Sepp Straka or Shane was just so defeated, like I was betting on Shane, where there was a few chances to get closer. And like you mentioned on the par 3, when Shane hit that one in close, I was like, oh, here we go. Here comes the collapse. Here comes the melt, like Joel said. And it just never happened. He just dominated. And when you were going back to 14, the par 5, where he hit driver 7 iron, made eagle, I just was flabbergasted. I was like, yeah, it's so Rory and so fucking good, just all in general. But Sepp Straka had a funny comment on that. He's like, yeah, we both hit driver 7. Sepp Straka hit 7 wood and Rory hit 7 iron. And it was crazy because watching, what a good golf hole, by the way, and where they put that pin, nearly impossible to get to unless you're Rory. And these guys are like skanking 3 iron, 4 iron. Shane hit 3 iron. And they're like skanking it up to the right and hoping it stays up on the right plateau to give him like 35 feet. And Rory's like, I got fucking basically a short iron in my hand. I'm just going to launch this thing 400 feet up in the air, clear that bunker, no problem, and be behind the hole. And that was not an easy eagle putt either, left to righter, pretty long, 20 plus 25 feet. And he nailed it. And when he's doing that stuff, and we've talked about his ceiling, and his ceiling overall talent wise is just about as high as it gets, but his hotness, I don't know what to call that, his momentum ceiling is like disgusting. Like it's
when he gets it
borderline
rolling, nobody's beating him.
Yeah, it's borderline like shoot 27 on every 9 holes he plays. And a couple other news and notes, if you will, from the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. So really cool to see both Shane Lowry and Rory McIlroy make aces. Rory dunked it straight in the hole, and he hit it so perfect the camera fucked the whole dog. You couldn't. I was
going to say I never could see it go in because, it was just. But how often, as a cameraman, do you expect the ball to fly directly into the fucking hole? Like that's a once in every 5 years type of thing, even on the PGA Tour.
Right. But what was funny about that is going into the tournament, some betting guy had a tweet go fairly viral because he was like, I'm BetMGM, no free shout outs, has a special this week, no hole in one plus 110. He's like, I think he said a hole in one hasn't happened in 7 or 8 years at Pebble / Spyglass, and there's a smaller field. And then Thursday, like 4 holes in, bang. And then Shano, who has, mind you, the best hole-in-one placard or best hole-in-one resume on the entire PGA Tour, then holes 1 on 7, which is incredible. And like, it was just hilarious because that poor guy, he even went into his own mentions with like a funny gif, but that was just a constant. I just quote tweeted it with a picture of Rory because right when I pulled up the app on Thursday, 4 or 5 holes in to see how it was going, it was just right on the front of the PGA Tour app. Rory aces to take the lead at Pebble Beach. And I was like, oh, that guy's bet's cooked. So he got some nice engagement out of that this week. Maybe we'll start doing that.
There you go. Yeah, just bet on, hopefully you just lose in the worst way possible. And that people love watching. I mean, a lot of people lose at sports betting. That's kind of the point. That's why the buildings are as big as they are in Las Vegas. But other people love watching you lose. Like everybody loves seeing. Nobody wants to hear about all your wins all the time. And oddly enough, that's what gamblers love to talk about. Like I hit a couple bets this weekend. After that, I'll save that for later. But I never want to talk about the ones that I lose. I only want to talk about the ones that I win. So we just have to lose in miraculous fashion. One other quick thing I wanted to mention that I think makes a difference at Pebble Beach versus a lot of other PGA Tour courses, where you saw Justin Rose, Shane Lowry, and Rory McIlroy all contend this weekend, was the slower greens at Pebble Beach, because it was going to be so windy that they couldn't really speed them up that much. And English dudes, Irish dudes, they are much better on slow greens because that's what they grew up on. They're used to slow greens. They're used to giving a big swing of the putter to a lot of these putts over in their homeland because the greens are a lot slower. They're usually like an 8 or 9 on a stimp. versus a PGA Tour average is probably around 11 to a 12, depending on the week. So I think that definitely had something to do with it as well. Just the speed of the greens, those guys being able to bang home, because like those 5, 6, 7 footers on really slick greens, it's so much harder to hit them with conviction. Like we saw Rory at Pinehurst, fucking hitting it in the forehead with the putter just because he couldn't really give it a good wrap. So I think that made a bit of a difference as well for Rory. But yeah, great hole in one. Did you see the what they left? And I don't know, this is kind of cherry picking, I feel like, on Twitter's part, because people love to tweet shit and not give like the full backstory and just kind of talk shit or whatever. But the Shane Lowry and Rory both left like a bucket of beer and some pizzas for the media members after their hole-in-ones on Thursday. And one of the media members is like, money must be tight everywhere. And it's like, do the players have to buy the media drinks? Do the players have to throw the media fucking party? Like, where do you draw the line? Media people bitching about getting free beer and pizza. I think that's fucking stupid, in my opinion. Like, sure, if you're a grown man and a dude can't buy you a fucking Amstel Light, which I don't know why Amstel Light. I'm convinced there's certain beers like Amstel Light that strictly exists to be like the free beer that you get at a sporting event. Like if you're in a box or something, they bring you Amstel Light, because when I was in the box at MetLife, every time they had a fucking thing full of Amstel Light, I'm like, have you ever heard somebody ask for one of those before in your fucking life?
No, I didn't. Like, I've only seen it. An Amstel Light is like I don't even know what's.
It's like a ghost of a beer.
It's like I've only seen it on TV.
It's that of legend.
I've never fucking seen one in my real life with my own two eyes. That's what an
like
Amstel Light is.
It's like Michelob Ultra, but it's like the fucking Walmart brand of Michelob Ultra, basically. But yeah, they left some beers and pizza for the media members. And in that case, it's like, yeah, in my opinion, on a hole-in-one like that on tour, you throw $5,000 down in the clubhouse and just be like, fucking go at it. Like, obviously, one drink per person. Hopefully, there's no worse person on the planet that is someone that doesn't even remotely know. And this is different, like PGA Tour, because everybody's a player. You know, you've probably met all these guys. But I've had cases where you walk into the bar and you end up buying people you don't know drinks, and then they try to get a second drink out of you. And you're like, who the fuck are you, dude? Like, you're lucky I bought you one beer, more or less two. I'm not paying for your drinks all night because I made a hole-in-one. So long story short, I think the media members bitching about beer and pizza is pretty fucking lame.
Yeah, it's super lame, just poor person behavior. I don't know how to do it. Like, it's just that,
like,
idea.
Oh, woe is me, you only left me beer and pizza. You're a fucking media member. You're sitting in the media tent.
Yeah, you're a millionaire. You should have to pay for more than that. No, you just be happy they did anything for you. You're fucking dumbass as well. Like, that's so annoying to me. Like, people trying to out rich people when they make a hole-in-one and don't leave you. I'm sorry they didn't leave a Dom Perignon fucking buckets in there for you to pop while you're trying to write your cover story that gets 3 views. I'm sorry. Like, I'm talking shit, and like fucking YouTube is like, like, oh yeah.
For our 3 viewers we got watching right now,
come at me with your 100 views. But no, yeah, it's just, that's lame, and it's taken out of context. And you know, they left something. That was nice of them to leave something for the media members. Yeah. They probably spent who knows how much in the actual clubhouse, or the actual players that the reason people are there fucking drink. You know, that's
one thing I did hear though that is funny is also the dude who tweeted it said only Shane Lowry and not Rory. And someone was like, oh, did Rory not like help pay for it? So that even then it's like, don't fucking, I don't know. I mean, if Rory didn't help pay for it, it's probably a couple $100. That's pretty lame. But also it's a gift. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. It's free shit. And you're sitting in a media tent writing an article for some fucking golf magazine that gets put in bathrooms. Like I'm sorry, nobody really gives a fuck. So that there's certain times where I agree with the player. I'm on the player side, and that is definitely one of them. When people like to shame a good thing that is being done for them. So that it's like a little kid when you give them a gift and they're like, "That's it." You're like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like, do you have any self-awareness whatsoever?" But yeah, that's not very prevalent. Speaking of self-awareness, let's talk about Jason Day's fucking sweatsuit, his tracksuito that he wore to the final round yesterday at Pebble Beach. When I saw that, I got irrationally mad. And I did turn to Missy and I was like, this is too far for me. And she goes, well, would you rather have him wear that or like those fucking joggers that are up halfway up his calf? I'm like, at least those are golf pants. Like, in what world, if I were to walk out to any random country club within a 30-mile radius in sweats and a fucking hoodie, I'm getting kicked off the course. There's no chance I'm getting on. So how is the PGA Tour? First, it's the pace of play. Then it's the fucking sweatsuit. What do you call it? The gray suit that
the grout fit.
The grout fit. How does he get away with that? And the worst part is I tweeted about it. I'm like, I bet that matching suit is probably $400 and is probably sold out on Malbon's website now. Like, it is like shooting fish in a barrel for these fucking idiots on the golf Twitter that see Jason Day's outfits and just cream their fucking shorts and immediately go to Malbon's website and blow half a paycheck on a fucking outfit. Like,
yeah, you know those golf pros out there that you kind of, as a golf pro, you kind of get to know your members and get to know your clientele pretty well and what they like and what they don't like. You see this, guys in the same Travis Matthews shirt all the time, or guys that only wear branded hats, or live lucky hats is one of the things, the clover.
You're a 40 handicap if you wear one of those.
Or they only rock FootJoy shoes. There's definitely golfers are in their lanes, and those club pros out there that have Malbon in the shop, or those few members are going to be like, they're like, oh God, now I have to tell fucking Ralph D over here that he can't wear this grout fit, even though it costs $700 on my golf course, because it's against the rules. And I know the PGA Tour is generally pretty strict about that. So it seems crazy to me because they made him change a couple weeks ago and they wouldn't let him wear a certain sweater from Malbon. And
that was at the Masters last year, I think, or at a major last year.
Was it? I thought it was a couple weeks ago where he tried to wear something and they were like, no, that they didn't approve it. Maybe I'm tripping, but either way,
your time measurement, I think, is just way off.
Oh, that checks out. But let me get to my point here, in the fact that I'm surprised they let him out on the golf course looking like that. I really am. And I get that, I'm all for hoodies on the golf course. You're wearing a golf hoodie right now. I'm in a crew neck phase, so I'm just, every crew neck I got's getting the work right now. But I'm all for hoodies on the golf course. And there's like, you can just tell, like, I have a few pairs of joggers that I won't wear on the golf course, and I have a few pairs that I do. And I just feel it by how they look. Do they look like sweats? Do they look like actual pants? What's the story here? Like the black joggers I have on today. So I'm going to hit balls at my club, my big club here, my fucking big exclusive place that I'm a member at. But these joggers are like a pair that I feel comfortable saying, oh, they could be almost golf pant material, versus I have another pair that look like sweatpants that I wouldn't consider wearing out on the golf course. So
yeah,
I feel like
it's
just
like
having
the same thing with shorts. Like, I've seen dudes wear what look like borderline swim trunks, and I'm like, those aren't golf shorts. Like, they can be shorts and still not be golf shorts. Like, there's pants, and the whole jogger thing is, I'm sure, is what ended up with Jason Day wearing fucking cuffed sweatpants on the golf course. But you give people an inch, they take a mile. It's a tale as old as time. Like, because realistically, what Jason Day's gonna be like, well, what? I don't have a belt on? What does that matter? Like, I'm wearing a fucking hoodie. Why can't I wear sweatpants if I'm wearing a hoodie? Like, he'd probably wear fucking flip-flops out there next. I don't know what what these Melbourne outfits have come to. Do you think it could be a bit? Like, is Melbourne doing a social experiment to see what kind of casual fucking outerwear they can put out and throw the highest price tag on it and see how many dipshits buy it? Like, throw it on a Tour Pro, and somehow now Jason Day is the king of fashion. He used to wear fucking Adidas, and now everybody's like, Jason Day is an innovator. It's like, look at fucking Payne Stewart back in the 90s. Look at guys who actually wore cool shit, not just Jason Day who's crapping out fucking Melbourne outfits now. I don't know. I probably sound like a boomer on this whole topic.
Okay, boomer.
Yeah, I genuinely do, but it's something that I get irrationally annoyed with, because all of a sudden everybody's acting like Jason Day fucking reinvented the wheel. And it's like, he has fucking sweats on. There's literally nothing special about what he's wearing. And, you slap a fucking Melbourne tag on there, charge $500, and somehow it's special. Like, fucking blows my mind.
Let's talk about special golf courses. And you sent me this a little bit ago. So we're going to kind of talk about the value. So from Rick Golf's Top 100 Rick, for those curious of what it would cost to play the top 10 U.S. public golf courses, this is without caddy fees, tips, and lodging. The actual cost is with travel is likely 2 or 3 times this amount. And then he says, I've played 9 of 10. How many of you played? So going in order of
real quick, let me stop you. These dudes, there's so many guys on Twitter now that literally just love to drop their nuts on the table about what golf courses they've played. And this Rick, his literal Twitter handle is Rick Top 100. All he talks about is the best golf courses, and he tweets about how many he's played. And he tweets like exclusively in threads. There's never like one tweet. It's always a thread and fucking 9 tweets following that. So these golf people and just Twitter in general has bugged me with the thread whole thing. This dude, this is a good tweet because he's definitely like a little bit of a content farmer. Engagement farmer. There we go. Engagement farmer. Shit like this makes sense. But why do you have to tell people I've played 9 of 10? Like, fucking cool, dude. Go wank off somewhere else. Like, my God.
Yeah. So ranked from 1 to 10, and then with their price tag, Pebble Beach, number 1, $650. Pacific Dunes, number 2, $400. Whistling Straits, number 3, $555. Kewah Ocean Course, $600. Shadow Creek, $1,000. Pinehurst, number 2, $495. Bannon Dunes, $400. Bethpage Black, $160. Erin Hills, $385. And Spyglass Hill, $465. A total of $5,110 to play all top 10 courses. I think it's tough to say the value of these and the value of playing these golf courses, like, because generally speaking, like if you're on a trip to play a bunch of golf courses and the golf's kind of all just paid for in one, and you're playing Spyglass and Pebble, I don't see it as that bad of value. Value is in the eye of the beholder in terms of how, like, to some people, paying $500 for a round is nothing. They don't even know $500 is gone from their bank account. Some people paying $500 for a round is something they would save up for all year. So you kind of have to just take a look at the value from your own personal. And I know, we haven't played the Ocean Course at Kewah. We've actually never played. I've played one of these top 10 courses, and I don't think you've played any of them. But
very
like
cool.
Bethpage Black being $160 seems like a screaming deal. And then, Shadow Creek, to me, I want to go play it, but I don't think we also have a distorted view of how much golf costs, because we played for free basically everywhere at our home course and other places for the last 6, we play golf based on, if it's free, it's for me. Like if I can go and hit up a buddy that has a connection and we're going and playing, I'm in. But, you did pay a hefty sum up at Whistling Straits and Aaron and Black Wolf Run. But like, I don't know. I don't see a ton of value in just paying a shitload of money for these, unless it's like a annual trip where you're just spending the money on golf. And I've lost more than, all of these amounts in a span of 4 hours on a sports bet. So it just kind of depends upon where you like to put your money. Now, most golfers also have a gambling problem. So combining the two of those, like if I'm losing $1,000 on Chiefs money line while playing Shadow Creek, probably not ideal. Or I just lost $500 at the tables the night before and then go spend $1,000 on Shadow Creek, not ideal. So
see, in my opinion, so I'm just going to give my two like that I think would be worth it, and then two that I think would not be. And you can obviously tell me what you think, but in my opinion, Pebble Beach and Kiowa Island, even though they're two of the more expensive on that list, I think are actually worth it. They're iconic. They've hosted majors. And plus, the piece of land is a one-of-one piece of land. You can't go play another golf course like Pebble or like Kiowa in their own individual places. And that's why Pinehurst and Shadow Creek are probably my two lowest value on that, because Pinehurst, and I've never played it, so I'm obviously speaking blindly here, I guess you could say. But Pinehurst, I've heard there's half a dozen courses around it that are better than actual Pinehurst itself. And plus, it's just in the fucking Pine Needles of North Carolina. Like,
yeah, I've heard the same thing, that like 7 and 9 are better than 2, and 2 is the one that gets all the
and
love.
Pine Needles is better, and there's a few other layouts, not even on Pinehurst, that are better than Pinehurst itself. And then Shadow Creek is just like a very well manicured fucking course in the middle of the desert. Anybody can do that. That's not exclusive. But even like Bandon, I will give credit to. That's a piece of land that you cannot recreate. So I definitely, there's certain courses where you would not be able to play anything like it. Whereas like playing Pinehurst is like buying a BMW to say you own a BMW, even though it's not any more special than that fucking Volkswagen that's right over there that has all the same bells and whistles and just costs half the price. There's definitely an exclusivity to these golf courses, and how much you pay has to kind of run in there. But Kiowa is genuinely a great test of golf. It's one of the hardest courses in America. And Pebble Beach is one of the most iconic major championship. And by the way, we didn't even mention this. Look at all the drama we had this week at Pebble Beach. And that course is 7,000 yards, I want to say. Like,
yeah, they were mentioning on the broadcast how it was 850 or 890 yards shorter than the week before, and in the same general geographic area of California.
Yeah. And that's where places like Torrey Pines lose me. When you try to make it so long, it's just fucking impossible. There's other ways to make golf hard, and Pebble Beach really feels like they've gotten that dialed in. So those are my top two and bottom two. What would you say in your mind are your top two, bottom two there?
Well, like I said, I haven't played any. I've played one of the 10, and so I'm going to kind of just drift towards that a little bit. But to me, your comment regarding one of one piece of land, and you were on that, just not on the Straits course. Whistling Straits is phenomenal. Like, and my memory of playing the Straits was just so out of this world, a dream. Just the whole setup of the way it happened, the snow when I was there, the only people on the whole entire front nine of a place that's hosted a Ryder Cup and a major. So to me, that's also a one piece of land. And then I'd say, I mean, Bethpage Black looks incredible. And if you're talking value, and it's $160, and I think somebody commented it's like under 100 if you're a resident. That stuff is cool when you can just go out and play a major championship Ryder Cup course for less than 100 beans. Like, that to me is just, no matter, even at $200, that's still great value comparatively to the other top 10 courses in America. So I think those are my top two. And then, yeah, Shadow Creek seems cool, but like you said, desert courses are 1 in, 100. Like, they're all the same. They're tough. They're like, we played the Gallery last couple weekends ago. Incredible landscape, but I anticipate, Paynes Valley and fucking all those courses in Vegas are kind of the same scenario. You know, like you see the Wynn golf course and how manicured it is, and just because it's of location, it's near the strip, like it's all of a sudden it's $1,000 or $500 around. So I think that's where my lowest value would come in.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think we're kind of on the same page there.
All right, let's finish this Monday edition up with Mulligan Monday or Mulligan of the Week. I've had a few things happen to me this weekend, and so I'm trying to sift through what I want to say for my Mulligan of the Week, what I want to be my WTF Wednesday. So I think I'm going to go with this one for my Mulligan of the Week. And this morning, so I have to take care of my son in the mornings until our babysitter nanny gets there at 9:00. And so like those hours from when my wife leaves at 7 to 9 is just like a war. It's like, what am I going to do for 2 hours? Usually you have to get ready and, you know, just play some games, read some books, do all that kind of stuff. But you need to make a quick bank run today. So I load him up in the car. I'm looking at, you know, we've had this bank since we were little kids. It was in Elizabeth. And I was looking for a location around me, and I found one in Lowry. And I drive there. I get halfway there and I realize I don't have the proper debit card for that bank, because I'm just going to the ATM outside or drive through ideally. And I'm going to put my debit card in. I'm going to deposit this cash and I'm going to go. Well, so I go back, get my debit card, and then I turn back onto Monaco Street, which is a street by my house, which is undergoing an insane amount of construction right now. I got in the wrong lane turning left, or it was a left and straight lane, but 90% of the people in front of me were turning left and there was no green arrow. So it was taking forever. I didn't get over to the right fast enough. Then it was just car after car after car. So this is a whole fucking rigmarole. I finally get to this fucking bank, 20 minutes away, traffic, my kid's like getting fucking kind of antsy in the back seat. No fucking drive-through. And it's 8:15 in the morning. So the lobby's not open. And I'm like, dude, just check if there's a drive-through. It wasn't that hard to do, but I was just so annoyed. So I drove back home, ended up not going to the bank, not taking care of the shit I need to take care of. But like, I'm so bad at like checking. And it's just like, you know, when you don't know what you don't know. But like when we went and played golf in Arizona and had a 2-hour frost delay in Arizona, you don't anticipate that stuff until you like get hit with it. And now I'm like, I'm going to call my fucking home club here in the middle of July and be like, hey, are we on a frost delay? Because I have like PTSD from that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Just you could have saved yourself 40 minutes if you just would have fucking taken 5 extra seconds to be like, is there a drive-through? Is this place even open right now? Which I've done plenty of, but part of it is just, I don't know, there's kind of fun in assuming things are going to go a certain way and just kind of finding out. You're like, oh dude, there must be. Cause when it happens how you think it's going to happen, you're like, oh fuck yeah. I knew that was going to be that way the whole time, but then you don't. And you're like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Like what? Then it's their fault. You're like, who the fuck doesn't have an ATM? And yeah, any bank that doesn't have. So funny story, out here in New Jersey, they have like the walk-in ATMs, but like where you open the door and that's in there, but then the other door is locked during non-business hours. But in New Jersey, you have to swipe your card to get in the first door.
Yeah, I've had some banks like that.
Maybe
that's electric.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I didn't see those in Colorado, but I guess I haven't done it in 4 or 5 years. Like if I needed to deposit cash, you could just walk right in. There wasn't like a swipe your card thing. Maybe so they try to keep like homeless people from hanging out in there. I don't know if it's whatever. You got to at least like swipe a bank card so they know you're a customer. But yeah, pretty wild to swipe your card just to walk through the door. And like, how do they know what do they put a fucking credit card reading machine on the outside of the door? So yeah, I thought that was kind of wild. My mulligan of the week is Saturday morning. You were a little bored and decided to text me about sweating out a college basketball bet. And I rode with you because it sounded like fun. We didn't have much going on Saturday. And so I was like, fuck yeah, there's a big matchup. Tennessee, Ole Miss.
Tennessee, Florida.
Yes. Ole Miss played afterwards or what later that day. But Tennessee, Florida, I haven't watched either of these two teams play all year. I really haven't watched much college basketball. This is kind of the time where I start to get into it. We're approaching March. I like to kind of get a lay of the land for March Madness, but we bet on Florida plus the points, and they just come out and lay a fucking massive egg in the second half. Lose the second half by like 27. They were down by 3 at the end of the first half, and then just come out in the second half, get absolutely boat raced. And we took the under, but I parlayed the under and Florida. The under hit by like 40 points, maybe more than 40 points. So it was one of those bets, and that kind of sent me into not a tailspin, but then I was like, okay, I got to get this back. So then I bet Nuggets Saturday night against the Hornets, and kind of had to sweat that for a little. I bet Hornets plus 13.5 because I knew that the fucking Nuggets weren't going to cover 13.5, and then they barely won the game. So I won that back. And then I bet Avs minus 1.5 goals yesterday and made a good little chunk there. So I ended up making a little bit of money this weekend, but then Missy goes to me and goes, don't fucking start gambling because Spencer's gambling. Like, don't get sucked into this whole thing. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. But once you get a little taste of the action on a free weekend, you just want to keep taking action. Like that is kind of gambling. Like it takes a little bit of self-control. So I've got like $150 sitting in that account now, and I'm just looking to double it I don't think I'm going to take Nuggets minus the points. Maybe I just keep rolling with, I think the Nuggets are they're 10.5 point favorites tonight. So I may take the Nuggets. I think they might win by like 35 tonight. So basically you kind of got the gambling itch scratched for me, and now I just want to keep doing it.
I love that for me and for you. We're definitely going to be CBB sweating it out on a Saturday morning, every morning at noon your time, noon Eastern, 10 a.m. Mountain. Nothing better than that.
No, I mean, until your team loses the second half by 27.
Well, the best part is now, like, I absolutely hate Florida basketball to the moon. Like, I will never bet on them. All of them can get fucked. Terrible performance, embarrassing.
Oh, speaking of betting, who did you take in your one and done at Pebble?
I took Denny McCarthy.
What do you finish at?
Not good.
Like 4 under.
Sean sent out the leaderboard, and I'm very far down it.
I haven't even looked. I need to look and see where I'm at.
He finished T58 in his 80-man field, 6-6-6.
That's helpful. So I actually went against everything, because speaking of dudes that I can't fucking stand, I took Tom Hoagie, and it's technically not betting on him, because if you do remember, if you listen to this pod, Tom Hoagie is blacklisted off of our betting card. We're no longer. I honestly don't even remember who else is on our blacklist.
I think it was another Tom.
Tom Sullivan?
No.
No, I'll have to think about it, but I'm not sure which other Tom. Sam Burns. He's on the blacklist. After last year, how he did me at the Amex, fucking losing to Nick Dunlap. But basically, I picked Tom Hoagie, which was against everything. But he usually plays pretty well at Pebble. I think he finished 9 under. Only 11 behind the lead. But he finished like T13, I want to say. So, or maybe T20, something like that. But could have been worse.
I think he was actually 11 under.
What did he get to 11? Maybe he did get.
Yeah, 11 under T17.
Okay, I can live with that for that snaggletooth South Dakota fuck. Have you ever seen a worse picture on the PGA Tour app than Tom Hoagie's?
No.
It is treacherous. But yeah, so Tom Hoagie's out of the way. I can't pick him again next week. So
can't pick him again the rest of the year in the one and done. It's gone.
Yep. Love it.
One and done. All right, that wraps up this week's edition of Big Drive Energy. This Monday's edition, excuse me. We'll be back on Wednesday previewing the waste management. We aren't going to be there for the first time in a couple of years. I'm honestly a little bit relieved I'm not going to be there. Kind of turning from the People's Open to the shit show open. So I'm kind of glad I'm not going to be there, although the weather does look really nice. Unfortunately, we did not get that last year, but we'll preview the Waste Management Open, talk about the upcoming week. Party week in golf really gets everybody into golf kind of for a week and watching.
And we got we got Live Under the Lights this week too, which is going to be fucking electric. If you've seen any of the videos, I'm actually pretty stoked to watch this.
Yeah, that, and I think Boston Common takes on the Bay Golf Club tomorrow night, TGL. So we're gonna be dialed for that. Dude, I think you have to fact check me on this for sure, but so Rory's in that. Rory he played one at Pebble, has to fly all the way to Florida to play in the TGL one night and then fly back to Arizona to play in the Waste Management. So that's kind of insane week for, a guy that hasn't really competed a ton at the Waste Management. So he's not going to have that Monday. Maybe he will. Maybe he'll fly out for the night. They got these PJs and shit. They can do whatever they want. But we'll be back on Wednesday to talk about the Waste Management and Live Under the Lights. Make sure you're following us on all the socials at Big Drive Energy. Golf on Instagram, Big Drive Energy on TikTok. I'm at Big Drive Spence. He's at Big Drive Mitch. Hit this video with a thumbs up on your way out if you like the video. If you like the podcast, make sure you're following us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. We appreciate you tuning in. We will talk to y'all Wednesday. Peace.